And a very good afternoon to all our viewers watching us live here on ITV International in a new episode of Africa Today. In today's edition, we are going to talk about the Egyptian-African cooperation in order to face the COVID-19 pandemic. That would be our topic for today. But first, we'll start with this report from Mali, where 12 civilians were killed in volatile center Mali on Tuesday morning, in addition to 12 soldiers who died in a twin attack that began overnight. More details.
A group of 12 people was traveling in a minibus following a military convoy sent to reinforce any army outpost, which was attacked in the early hours of Tuesday. It fell to an ambush and all 12 were killed, along with 12 soldiers. The civilians were on their way to a weekly market in Bankas, a town in central Mali's Mopti region, when the attack occurred. Police said that 2 women and a baby were among the civilian dead. A humanitarian official working nearby confirmed the account. 3 Malian soldiers were killed in the convoy ambush. 9 soldiers were killed in the earlier outpost attack. The Malian government is fighting rebels who first emerged in the north of the country in 2012 and have since spread their fight to the center of the country and neighboring Burkina Faso and Niger. In Mali, the center of the vast country has become the epicenter of violence. Anger at the brutal conflict contributed to protests against President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta this year, which culminated in his ouster in a military coup on August 18.
And to shed light on the Egyptian-African cooperation in order to face the COVID-19 pandemic, we are very much delighted to have with us over the phone Dr. Salah Abdallah, our political expert. Good afternoon to you, Dr. Abdallah.
Good afternoon. Welcome.
Welcome, sir. Always a pleasure to have you with us. Dr. Abdallah, how do you see the prospect for stronger cooperation among the African nations amid COVID-19 pandemic?
Well, of course, Africa, if we look to the picture, we will find 2 sides in the picture. One side, Africa is more lucky than other continents because of the weather. So the spread of COVID-19 is not much. Even the spread of all Africa in all Africa and the number of deaths in all Africa is less than one country in Europe. And this is a kind of luck because of the weather and the environment.
Yes.
The second, of course, there was a great effort done among the African countries. Of course, it differs from one country to another according to the equipment and what the country have. So you can't compare a country like Egypt, let us say, by another country because here we have more doctors, we have more hospitals, we have more equipment, we have more drugs and so on. So it differs from one country to other depending upon the progress of the economy and the industry and the education in each country.
Yes.
But generally, many African countries, they assist the other countries also in Africa. So Egypt, as example, send many assistance and help to other countries, and so on. The African as a whole, they respect the rules, they use the masks, they accept the to being away from the groups and from the parties and so on, and also they accept all the United Nations rules and the UNICEF rules for the disease and the protocols. And of course, there was a great effort done, whether in small countries or in big countries, poor countries or rich countries in Africa.
Yes.
So generally we can say that COVID-19 is still under control in Africa and it doesn't reach the risk levels which happen in another countries.
Yes, indeed.
Dr.
Dr. Abdallah, in Egypt, officials said that the lockdown will not be reinstated if a second wave of COVID-19 hits. How do you think this will other African states decide over that issue if we are going to witness another wave of COVID-19?
It will differ in some countries in Africa than another. Let us say, in North Africa here, we have a true winter, which will start from November on.
Yes.
So, of course, we will have the second wave, and we have to be ready for this second wave by using the masks and to be away from the crowds and to take care of the schools and universities and so on and so on. This will be in all North Africa, and we hope that there will be a drug for this disease soon. Other African countries, they didn't have a winter like us. 70% of the African countries, they have two seasons: hot without rain and hot with rain.
Yes.
Rainy season, the weather is hot, and dry season, the weather is more hot without rain. So they didn't have much cold like us. But this doesn't mean that it will not happen. No, the second attack will happen, but it will be less effective than other countries. And of course, they follow the same rules which they are using in the first attack. We have to be ready for the second attack from now. And I think the people now, they know everything. The information are easy for anyone now, and I think the meeting of the second attack will be easier than the first attack, and I hope the effect of the second attack will be very minimum to the people in Africa.
Dr. Abdallah, how can African nations coordinate to avoid harsh economic repercussions of coronavirus lockdown measures?
Can you repeat the question, please?
How can the African nations coordinate in order to avoid the harsh economic repercussions of coronavirus lockdown measures?
Well, there will be some measurements to help the poor persons in the society. Especially most of the African countries are from hand to mouth. The people are, the economy are very fragile.
Yes.
So there must be some measures to support the poor parts of the society, to help them in passing the period of the second attack with minimum trouble as much as possible. And of course, this needs cooperation between the rich countries and Africa, and of course the United Nations and the UNICEF must help. Also the African countries must help each one the other, depending upon how much they can do. Any small amount of help is needed for some countries. Some countries they can find some just soap or alcohols or these simple measures. It needs, of course, help. Also, the African unity must, or the African Union must play a great role in that, in suggesting economic measures for the members, and how they can other countries cooperate in finding ways to let the effort or the effect of the second attack as much less as possible from the economic side of view, especially in some countries they must be closed, completely closing to the factories or to the schools. And I think this will not happen in Central Africa, but it may be happen in some countries in North Africa, which is nearer to Europe, and the attack would be more harder than the other places.
Indeed, Dr. Salah Abdallah, our political expert. Thank you very much, sir, for your precious input. Always a pleasure. Our dear viewers will go to a short break, and after that, we'll be back to resume our segments in Africa Today. So stay tuned.
According to sources, the Pentagon has begun drafting plans for U.S. President Donald Trump for withdrawing troops from Somalia, and discussions have involved National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien, Defense Secretary Mark Esper, and Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman Mark Milley. The U.S. has 650 to 800 troops in Somalia. These include special forces that are helping train Somalia's army. All or almost all were sent during Trump's presidency. Somalia's President Mohamed Abdullahi said in an interview that he'd like U.S. forces to stay, adding that he believes his country, with U.S. assistance, is on the brink of defeating the Al-Shabaab insurgents. Kelly Callahan, a spokeswoman for U.S. Africa Command, declined to discuss future force posture, but said the U.S. remains committed to working with Somalia and international partners to enhance long-term regional stability in the country. She said the U.S. partnership in Somalia prevents Al-Shabaab from achieving their long-term ambitions. Officials at the National Security Council declined to comment. Analysts say many Americans may be surprised to learn that U.S. forces are in Somalia after a high-profile withdrawal in 1994.
That was a report about U.S. President Donald Trump, which has told the top advisors that he wanted to withdraw the U.S. Troops from Somalia, allowing him to make good on campaign pledges to bring soldiers home, even though the country remains beset by the insurgents. Moving on to this report, where a major archaeological discovery, Egypt is showing off dozens of ancient coffins, where the Egyptian archaeologists have discovered about 60 ancient coffins near the famed step pyramid of Zoser in Saqqara, south of Cairo. More details with Sameh Al-Sharif.
Egypt's Tourism and Antiquities Ministry said that archaeologists had unearthed at least 59 sealed sarcophagi with mummies inside in a vast necropolis south of Cairo. Khalid Al-Anani said they had been buried in 3 wells more than 2,600 years ago. The sarcophagi were put on display, and one of them was opened before reporters to show the mummy inside. Several foreign diplomats also attended the announcement ceremony in Saqqara. The Saqqara Plateau hosts at least 11 pyramids, including the Step Pyramid, along with hundreds of tombs of ancient officials and other sites that range from the First Dynasty to the Coptic period. El-Anani said there was an unknown number of coffins that had yet to be unearthed. Egyptian antiquities officials had announced the discovery of the first batch of coffins last month, when archaeologists found 13 of the containers in a newly discovered 11-meter deep well.
Well, with that, our dear viewers, we come to the end of this edition of Africa Today. I hope you have enjoyed it. Until another episode with another crew, it's goodbye. Thank you for watching.